And no, I mean, like I said, when I turned 22, that's when, well, actually before, a little bit before 22, like towards the end of my high school years, that's when things started to get difficult. I could still do it on my own. So
Hmm.
like when I moved from New York to Florida, that's when I started needing help, like getting, like I couldn't lift my leg up on my own over the
Right.
bathtub, over the little, the bathtub, how
Yeah,
you
to
have to
get into the
get
bathtub.
into the
Yeah.
bathtub. Yeah, so I couldn't do that on my own anymore. So I needed help. I started needing help with that. But prior to that, I was really independent. You know what I mean? I was able to do my own thing
Yeah.
by myself on my own. And so once I moved to Florida, that's when I needed help from my parents, from my siblings, and they helped me. And then I wound up getting married and having my own children. And then my children got older and they had to help me. My wife is a rock star. She's like an angel on this earth to me. I feel like God just was like, here, you know what? I know you got to go through that, but I'm gonna give you a beautiful wife that's gonna help you, and she's gonna be amazing. And I'm grateful for that. You know what I mean? And this year we're gonna be celebrating 19 years of marriage.
Wow,
And
congratulations.
thank you, man. Yeah, we've been together for like 23 years, and married 19 this year. So next year is gonna be a big year because I'll be married 20 years and I'm turning 50. So it's gonna be a big year for me next year.
Oh,
So
that
I'm
is so cool.
I'm excited about that. Yeah. But yeah, everybody helped me, and at the end of the day, I mean, I'm a man of faith too. So I feel like God knew the plan before I knew what it was. And he put everything into play and knew what I was gonna need before I even knew I was gonna need it. And everything just wound up working out.
Yeah. Like how you mentioned earlier, how, when you were going through this transition, you said, like, is anyone ever going to love me? Am I going to be able to do these different things, and here you are, now you have an incredible love story where you found a wife. Like, where do you think, helped you break through, that mindset of no one's going to love me? And how did you allow yourself that availability or the opportunity to be loved?
Well, the thing is that I never, like when I was young, I never had a problem being with girls, right? Girls were always attracted to me. I have a great personality, and I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but I feel like I'm a pretty cool dude.
Yeah. Yeah. You're chill.
Yeah, and so I never had a problem in that area, but in my mind, I was always thinking long term. Like when I was younger and I was still able to be independent, it wasn't a problem, right? But in my mind, I'm thinking like, I know I have SMA and they know I have SMA because I shared it with them, but it wasn't very visible yet.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really an issue. But in my mind, I'm always thinking like, when this thing starts really kicking in, are they gonna be in it with me for the long term, or are they gonna be like, oh, I can't do this. And
Right.
so, you know, um, I had gotten married at a young age with my first wife, and I was still able to walk when I met her, and then lost my ability to walk while I was with her, and she couldn't handle it. So
Yeah.
she hit it, and so we wound up getting divorced. I had a son with her, and then I met my current wife, which so I'm sometimes like, man, I wish I would have met you first and we would have been. But
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason, you know what I'm saying? But then I met my second wife, and then the same thing, like in the back of my mind, even though she knew I had SMA, like when I met my second wife, I couldn't walk anymore. So she met me like that. We used to work together.
Okay.
So at my first job, she was already working there. We were on the same team. And she was just like, yo, this is a cool dude. He's handsome. I'm attracted to him, and he's a cool dude. She never really saw, at that time, I used to use a scooter. I wasn't in a wheelchair yet. I used to use a little motorized scooter because I still had a lot of upper body strength.
Hmm.
And I was still in denial about getting into a wheelchair. And so when we met, we were coworkers, we was on the same team, and then we just became very good friends, like almost best friends. We were always hanging out, calling each other, going to hang out with each other, going to the beach, playing cards, things like that. And then one thing just led to the next. And one Valentine, I asked her to be my Valentine, and she said, yeah. And then we started dating. But I was always asking her, like, I'm letting her know, like, almost coaching her, like, you know, that this condition that I have, it gets worse over time. And
Yeah.
what I'm able to do now, I may not be able to do in 5 years, 10 years, you know, because
Right.
it gets worse as I get older. So I'm like prepping myself, but I'm also prepping her too.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's not a problem for me. I never saw your disability anyway. I don't even acknowledge that. I don't really, like, not acknowledge it in a sense like she's oblivious to it, but
Yeah.
it's
She
just
sees you, she doesn't see the wheelchair.
exactly, you know. And
Right.
so but yeah, you know, so she's a real one, man. So here we are, you know, 19 years later, 23 together, and she's still rocking and rolling with me. And you know, we've been going, you know, we've had some ups and downs, but we've had a lot of we've had more ups than downs. And you know, we love living life together, bro. We live together, we work together, we travel together, we do everything together. You know, a lot of couples can't do that. You know, they work two separate jobs, then they come home and they're okay with that. And sometimes even with that, they don't get along with each other,
Yeah.
you know. But we do everything together. And we're literally the reason I think that we lasted so long and we're going to last forever is because we're best friends. Like we literally do everything, talk about everything, and experience everything together. And we just love it. We love each other and we like each other, you know. So um
That's
we
incredible, man.
yeah,
That's
you know.
incredible. You said you have a few kids.